Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today, whether you are online here in the auditorium at RAISM or indeed joining us from somewhere else in the US, and obviously our Panamanian guests very much welcoming you here today. My name is Patricia Tan. I have the pleasure to serve as the chair of your Global Business Council this year. Welcome to our Spotlight on Panama. This is one of a series of country spotlights we started during 2021 and have continued through this year. Been very successful in terms of educating our members and helping them to understand what the networking opportunities might be with some of the countries that we're working with, and hopefully doing some cross-border business. So without further ado, I will introduce you to your moderator today, who is Miss Carla Raymond Kidd. Many of you will know she's also my business partner. Carla was the former president's liaison for NAR to Panama and the global coordinator for that particular region as well, which is the role that Mr. David McCoy took over and is performing today. So thank you for your volunteerism, David. Really appreciate that too. Carla's going to talk us, our three guests, through lots of aspects of how we might do business in Panama. We're going to learn a lot about the Panamanian culture, the country, the real estate market, and the general real estate practices there. So if you have questions and you're online, please put those in the Q&A and Carla can pose the questions to the correct panelist. If you're here in the room, please hold your questions to the end, and I'll come up at the end and we'll facilitate you coming up here and asking questions. Sound like a plan? All right, Ms. Carla, over to you.
Thank you very, very much, Pat. Welcome to all of our guests today. It's nice to be, and for all of you online for joining us. It's great to be here. I'm always very excited to talk about Panama because it was really my first experience with international real estate. So all the way back in 2005, I went to an expo in Madrid, Spain called SEMA, which is still in operation. At the time, it was the world's largest real estate exposition. And while I was there, I ended up meeting some developers from Panama. And at this point, we were moving into 2006. So this was May of 2006 that I met the Panamanian developers. And they kind of waved me in the booth and they said, you know, what do you know about Panama? And I said, well, I've been reading a lot about Panama because, of course, our Florida market had, well, at least in Sarasota, we had crashed at this point. So we were starting to see a little bit of those, not necessarily the short sales, but a definite downfall in the market, which ended up being short sales. So people were looking at going overseas and buying property where property was still a little bit affordable. So Panama was one of these countries that was coming across my radar. So I met a couple of gentlemen from Panama and they said, come on down, come and visit. You know, we really want to show you the country. So in 2006, between 2006 and 2007, I ended up going to Panama 4 times. And it was just on fire, just similar to what we saw in across, you know, Florida, particularly in Miami with all the condos that were going up. And people really excited about moving to a new place. New construction was booming. So, I mean, Panama, when I flew in, I was absolutely amazed. You know, for those of you who have not been there, you know, we think of some of these smaller countries in Central America as not being, you know, we think of a big city, but when we go to certain countries in Central America, we don't necessarily expect it to look like a city in the US. So flying into Panama City, we got in at night and I thought I was flying into Miami Beach. I mean, there were lights everywhere. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And everyone that I was with was just wow. And that was all the way back in 2006. So we fast forward to today. And my goodness, Panama is just a metropolis that is, you know, it's amazing and it's beautiful. And the architects are coming from a number of different countries. So we're seeing, you know, some really cool buildings that are going up. And so anyway, I kept going, right? And Panama has been one of my favorite countries. And I call it like my second home because I've spent so much time there. So in 2012, NAR decided that they were going to formulate the relationship with ACOBIR, which is the real estate association in Panama. So I was asked to be the liaison for the relationship between NAR and Acopir. And from 2012 to 2016, I went down and I was spending a lot of time in Panama, and that's where I met all of these people. David McCoy was one of our liaisons. He didn't necessarily have Panama, but he was working a lot of the other countries when I became global coordinator from 2016 to 2020. So because all of this was going on and we had all these great relationships with Panama, we suggested, because our port of Manatee was doing so much work with the Panama Canal, that it made sense for us to have an MOU, or a memorandum of understanding, with Panama. So back in 2018, and Aldo actually was president of Acopir at that time, we were at NAR in Boston, and I just wanted to share the screen for 1 second, where we did sign the MOU. So here you can see we had Greg Owens, who was president at the time. He's all the way on the left. Jeff to his right, Aldo in the middle, signing the agreement, and then you can see Amy Worth in the back there behind Greg and Jeff. So this was our first MOU that we did, and we're very proud of the relationship that we have with Panama. We have been there, they have come back, they have visited with us. Luis and Senya to his right, which are the two on your far right on the screen, did come and had a visit with us, and we were very happy to have people come from Sarasota. Aldo ended up coming and doing a visit of Sarasota himself. Aldo, what did you think of Sarasota when you were here?
Fun. I really like it. Good ambience, good colleagues, all positive too. All big time positive.
Yeah. So it's just a nice relationship for us to have. And I feel like it's family for me. So I want to move on and bring up David McCoy, who has done a great job. My term with NAR was expired, and David took my place, and he's doing amazing things with the region. David, I'm going to read your bio if you don't mind, so everyone understands who you are. He is now the global coordinator for North and Central America and the Caribbean. He is a licensed realtor who specializes in commercial real estate in Kentucky and Indiana, and he's been doing that since 2001. He focuses on consulting and marketing for commercial and international buyers, sellers, landlords, tenants, and investors. He's been active with an NAR Global since 2013, when he was appointed as the president's liaison to Jamaica. And he was subsequently appointed to the global ambassador to Bahamas, Bermuda, the Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. He holds a certified international property specialist, at home with diversity, ePro, and real estate negotiation expert designations with NAR. He has spoken at real estate conferences in Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, and the United States. He's been an active member of his local real estate association since 2001 and has an MBA from the University of Texas at Austin and a BS from Vanderbilt University. In addition, he's done volunteer work with the National Immigrant Justice Center, WaterStep, the United Way, and the University of Texas. So David, welcome. We're happy to have you here with us today. I kind of want you to just sort of talk about the relationship with NAR, how that works, ambassadors, associations, presidents, liaisons. We always have people that have questions about that, how they can get involved and what that all means.
All right, thank you. Thank you all very much for having me here. I was very lucky in that I was working with Carla, and she had very big shoes for me to fill when she left. I mean, she did an amazing job. But so the way that we are organized, NAR Global, in essence, we have 5 regions around the world. And so my region is North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. And so basically all of North America and the Caribbean is my range. The only really exception to that is Canada. Canada technically is part of my group, but we handle Canada a little bit differently than we do everybody else. So there are 14 countries in my region. My region has around 200 million people. And in our region, I think right now we're getting close to 4,000 international realtor members in our region. So it's a lot of people. And so the way that NAR Global works is, and so when we talk about our members, we're not just talking about NAR members in the US, because we have international realtor members who are members with participating partners that we have across the world. And if they're a member of that and they want to become a member of NAR, they can become an NAR member as well. So we include those guys as our members, and we are trying to help people succeed. And that is both in developing international partners and also within their own country. So that's one of our functions for people in the US or in our partners in other countries. If they're trying to do business, if Aldo, for instance, said, hey, I'm trying to get something and I really need someone from San Francisco, can you help us, connect with somebody? That's part of what we do. We're trying to promote business and promote cooperation among our various groups. So internationally, we are in more than 70 countries. At one point, it was around 75. I'm not exactly sure where we are right now. And we have over 100 cooperating associations. So we have reach just about anywhere in the world. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you guys succeed in real estate. And NAR has a whole bunch of tools to help you with that, to help you make international connections. And of course, one of the most important things, or one of I think the best things, is if you can go to the annual conference, which this year is in Orlando. So all of you guys from Sarasota, none of you all have an excuse not to go to the annual conference, because you go there. I mean, where else can you go and possibly meet people, make connections with, say, 70 other countries? I mean, there's nowhere you can do that. So we try to help people make those connections and try to help everybody succeed. That seriously is what we do. And I feel like I've strayed off topic here, Carl.
No, not at all. And I think,
go
David,
ahead.
you and I chatted a little bit yesterday about the numbers already of people that are registering from outside of the country that are coming to NAR. And
yeah,
you said the numbers were huge, right?
Yeah. And I think typically in the past, we have had around 1,500 international realtors attend. Last year, of course, after the pandemic, and a lot of places hadn't opened up yet, we didn't have that many. We had about 350. But as of a month ago, we already had 1,000 international realtor members who had signed up. And so we're telling people, if you want to do it, you need to sign up, because some of these events sell out. And so, you want to be able, like the International Night Out, that is my favorite event every year. It is just
Tell us about
amazing. Well, so every year it's every year that I've been going, it's always been on Saturday night. And so it's like a dinner, and generally there's a dance. It's also an award ceremony, but we have everybody all together, and it is just really amazing. It's because it's a little more formal. I mean, you can wear, a coat and tie and you'd be fine. But because it's a little bit more formal, some of our international people have just these beautiful clothes, like, kimonos, and people from the Middle East in their robes. And I mean, it's just amazing. And it is a really diverse group of people. And, there's not a stranger there. I mean, you can walk up to anybody and talk to them. It is a great way to make friends with people and a great way to make connections with people. So that's the whole point of it. And it's my favorite thing every year. So that does sell out. So if you guys want to come, please go ahead and get registered for the conference and sign up for that event. It is really fantastic.
I know we have some other events as well, such as NAR and Espanol and then the different global tables. Can you tell us about those two, David?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. One of the things that has been happening in with NAR in recent years is maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It's probably 4 years ago.
I think 4.
We started, when I say we, Alex Escudero started NAR in Espanol. And so what we have is we have a Facebook page in Spanish for our members who want information in Spanish. And so in addition to that, we began to really expand the courses that we have in Spanish, the materials that we have in Spanish. And we've been reaching out. So a lot of these courses now can be taught in Spanish. And that has really created an explosion in Latin America of people with interest in NAR and these kinds of materials. But it's not only there. I mean, in the United States, we have, I'm fudging on a number. You'll have to double check me to make sure, but I think it's around 20 million people who are residents of the United States who speak Spanish as their first language. So we have a lot of people in the US as well that want this kind of information and these kinds of materials. So we have really, Latin America in particular, these last couple of years has just been exploding. And so we are very happy to do that. So that's opportunities for you all. I mean, you know, these guys, if you want to do, you know, like, Panama, I'm glad we're talking a little bit about Panama. Panama is one of our primary partners in Central America. And so for your clients, you know, there are a lot of places in Central America, and of course I represent all of them. So there are positives of all of them. But one of the nice things, Panama is a little bit better developed economically than some of the other Central American countries. Also, the fact that they had the Panama Canal with the United States for so many years, there are a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people who speak English, and they speak English very well. So for people who are looking somewhere where they would feel comfortable, where they know that they won't have language problems and those kinds of things, it's a more developed country. They are friendly in terms of with Americans. There are people who speak English. And, you know, part of it also has to do with kind of what you like. One of the things about Panama is, you know, we have mountains that go all the way through there. I think lots of times we always think about the ocean and the beach and all those things, but they're also mountains. And so there's some very nice properties that people have there in the mountains where it's cool. It's not freezing, you're not in the snow all the time, thank goodness, but you're also in a spot where you're not hot all the time. So Panama has so much to offer. And I've strayed off topic again, Carla. You have to put the bumpers on me so I don't go.
No, it's quite all right. Although I'm going to have you jump in on this too, because we're talking about Panama now and the different areas. So David mentioned, you know, you have the beach areas, and of course Panama City is a very cosmopolitan city. You can pretty much do whatever you want there. It is a very congested city, I'll give you that. So you have to be very used to city life, but there's a lot outside of Panama City. If you don't want the heat, if you want to be in a mountainous area, within an hour flight or even an hour drive in certain areas. Although just talk real quick just about some different areas that are there and climate and what people are looking for.
Look, first of all, David, thank you for I mean, oh, you paid my presentation. I appreciate that. Look, I'm gonna take your word, and I want to use less is more. I use that phrase very often. Less meaning we're not that big, small, but we can offer a lot of things in a very small space. Put it this way: you can have breakfast in the Pacific Ocean. And in 1 hour, 15 minutes, you can, for lunch, you can have a nice fish, Caribbean style in the Atlantic. Put it this way, it's the same path, the same route that the Panama Canal takes. But for instance, you want to go to the beach from Panama City to Pacific side, 45 minutes, you'll have a Coronado. It's very, I want to talk about it, but Coronado is a beach resort, big time expats groups. And for 30 more minutes bonus, you can be in the mountain where used to be big time a big volcano. And at midnight, you can reach low up to, we use centigrados here. We don't use Fahrenheit, but Fahrenheit is give and take about 65, 63 at night. So by saying that, yeah, you can have a lot of option in a very small country with a big opportunity at the same time.
Right.
But for instance, September right now, if you drive 4 hours and a half, you'll see turtles coming in to nest. I mean, diversity by all means. That's what we can offer in Panama.
Right. Thanks. No, it's true. And there's so many Canadians and Americans that have either purchased second homes or migrated to Panama. And I know Roberto's going to talk about that towards the end of the program. But what a fantastic place. And David, thank you, for sharing everything about NAR. Any questions for David while we have them, or otherwise I'm going to move on a little bit to Aldo. But David, you had mentioned you have some pictures that you're going to show us of Panama at all, Aldo, in your presentation.
One more time, say
Do you have
one.
any photos you're going to be showing all of us in your presentation?
Yeah, I have some, about Panama. You
Okay.
see some.
All right. Okay, that's good. I did a little video last night too. I kind of pulled some of the ones that I had from one of my
Go
trips
ahead.
down there. So, oh, you want me to show those? Okay.
Yes,
In case
please,
no one
please.
is-
As-
I'm
as
sure
a
a
ma-
lot of people haven't been there. Let me see if I can get to that.
The
to that
picture that
screen
the picture that you show, I was like, that was really me. What the hell happened to me? I mean,
I might not be able to get to that. I'll have to, let me pull up the video. I'm going to move on to you. I'm going to introduce you, Aldo, if that's okay. And move on
Please.
to your presentation. If you want to get that fired up while I introduce you, that would be great. So my friend, Mr. Stagnaro, is an international realtor, and he is the CEO of Grupo Stagnaro, a real estate holding since 1977. He is a second generation real estate legacy, and I love that, with his CIPS, ABR, SRS, SRES certification. He, in 2018, served as Panama's Real Estate Association president of Acobir. In 2019, he was CIAPS's vice president. 2018, to president, active member of Panama's Chamber of Commerce, and this year, vice president of Panama's Homeowner Association, and is an international realtor member of NAR. So Aldo, welcome. Anytime you want to put your presentation up, you can. We're just
Carla.
happy to have you here with us today.
thank you very much, Carla. Thank you very much, guys, for having me on mind to have this opportunity to go and talk about one of my favorite, actually my favorite place in the world, my country, your country. And as Carla says, we love this girl from the longest. And one day I might not have, I shouldn't say that, but Carla, one of the parties or the events we have here, I saw Carla dancing salsa better than the native here. I started dancing salsa with her. I was like, come on, girl. I mean, oh, holy cow. That's a memoir that won't be able to withdraw from my mind. So good memoirs from you, Carla.
I'm glad I gave you a run for your money, my friend.
All right, guys, let me introduce my presentation. Hi there. I'm Panama. I'm a member of association equivalent to NAR. It's called Acobir. And like Carla says, I used to be the president in 2018. And I'm very active. I'm a believer that the more you know, the more you shake hands, the more get to know each other. We can do business always in a win-win situation in both ways. And that's one of the reasons I got my CIPS, in order to get tuned with American realtors' expectation whenever they refer me a prospect. So thank you very much, and welcome to Panama. This is my first slide. This picture is called Avenida Balboa, and it's an ocean front of the sea, which you cannot swim yet, but we're working on it. It's called Panama Bay, in the Pacific side ocean. let me see. Well, I just hold on here. One of the reasons I would say Panama. See Panama as a possible for many experts that are seeing Panama as a second home. We have a very stable economy, political system. Democrat. Every 5 years we choose a new government. Actually new government, because ever since, and then Roberto will back me up on that one, that every 5 years is a new government, I mean, elected and doing favorable things. Favorable things means that we keep the dollars ever since 1903. And like David said, this relationship with the Americans, with the United States since 1903, end up in 1999, December 31st. So we have a lot of American roots. It's like Carla said, when she was coming, she thought she was in Miami. We are very Americanized. We have this close relationship with the government, with the army, with, I mean, some people have said that we very close to Americans in the way of thinking, the way of doing business. As you see on that picture, is a modern capital. It's diverse. Like I was saying, less is more. In 35, 45 minutes, you'll be in the interior or in the next state, which is a lot of beaches, mountains, a lot of people who is, well, not live in the capital, but you can live with a modern electricity, waters, internet. You will find both of both worlds, right, in Panama City or the rest of the country. That's why I mean quality of life is high here. Strong banking system. Yes, like I said, we use dollars. We, as a matter of fact, a few years ago, we even had about 100 different banks in the world, from the world in Panama. Right now, we're over 60. I would say 65, 70 different banks world in Panama. And that makes us the very important financial center in Latin America. As a matter of fact, what's happening in Colombia, what's happening in Chile, political, what happened for 25 years in Venezuela, thank God, is being reflected in our economy. A lot of investors are seeing Panama as a refuge to protect their money, their investments, and they keep coming and doing business with here in Panama. Another reason Panama's economy today is based, well, you all know, Panama Canal is the road of to unite the whole world. United States is the #1 client on the canal. Then China, all the product that sail from China all the way coast to Panama go to the eastern side of the United States. That's the main target. So a lot of things that you find in Orlando, in Sarasota, in New York, went through to the Panama Canal. Taking advantage of that position, the narrowest point in the whole continent, we have become the hub of the Americas. Copa Airlines, a very small airline a few years back. I mean, they saw a lot of potential to taking the Tocumen, that's the airport, that's the name of the airport, as a hub of the Americas, meaning that if there is an Argentinian that wants to go to Europe, or Chilean, or Colombians, they can come to Panama, they use Copa, and they will take a connection to Frankfurt, to Amsterdam, to Portugal. So we use Hub of the Americas. That's part to deliver transportation to the whole country. So Hub of the America is very strong. We just have the brand new terminal, which is, as you can see on the pictures, is a lot of gates and And there's all kind of airlines, cargo and passengers airlines are using that hub of the Americas. Well, like I said, Panama Financial Center since 1903, we're using dollars. And as you can see in this picture, there are banks from all over, Venezuelans, Argentinians, Americans banks, HSBCs here too. So it's a very hectic movement in the financial area. Logistic hub. As a matter of fact, I want to emphasize on logistic because now the government, after the expansion of the Panama Canal, we have realized that Panama can offer more than just passing through vessels. We're thinking to work out on the logistic, meaning, and after all happened in the pandemic, use Panama as a port hub. You'll see we just opened another cruise port hub for cargo, just to cargo from China, cargo from the Orient will go to Panama and will be repackaged and resended to different parts. So logistic, that's all the area. As a matter of fact, for you guys to see, I recommend Google the Panama Canal and see all the potentials that will be on the way, all the way from the Pacific to the Atlantic. All the areas it's gonna be crowded by ports, by cranes. Potential. Look, ain't gonna happen in 2 years from now. You have to see in 5 years from now, this thing will be totally different. And we're aiming as a country, as for our GDP, we need that. And this government will finish on 2014, or the next one, they'll be taking advantage of using more the logistic of the Panama Canal. Like I said, the home ports cruise just opened one. We have one in the Atlantic Ocean in Cologne, but we just opened a new one in the Pacific. That's gonna bring a lot of tourism. That's what we're aiming. The minery has become one of the strongest money maker on our GDP. That's core, what should we call it, copper minery, and they just opened in 2019. And what represents in every year on money coming to the government is, as a matter of fact, is scheduled, is forecast actually to be as much as what the Panama Canal produce. So we're aiming that.
I was just going to say that copper is such a hot commodity right now.
Yes.
Particularly, we're coming out of the pandemic and we all realized, everything that we need for parts and different things, and it's become very difficult to get. So whoever has the copper controls a lot of the market. And
It controls a lot of the
said
market.
that was going to compete with the port, because that was exactly what I was thinking in my mind.
Yes, as a matter of fact, that's a Canadian and Panamanian joint venture thing. Panama represent most, I would say 51%, and the other private is 49%. But just actually, it's 49% is deployed or something. But is what I'm showing you here is all the potential that you might see Panama, not just for to come and visit and come and live, but all the potential for doing business here in Panama. In this next slide is we because of the narrowing of the country, we have this submarine cable system that goes all through the 7 major submarine cable systems. Wiring goes to Panama, and that's what they say. Google, we can become a digital hub, thanks to what's happening right now with all the wires going to the Panama Canal. Panama has this MHQ, which you can see here is a multinational headquarters. We call it SEM in Spanish. This company that you can see here had decided to use Panama as a hub for the regions. doesn't mean just Central America, Latin America. Some of them are Latin America except Mexico, but for the rest is Central America, Caribbean, Northern South America. So there's these plans that give you a lot of benefits for these companies to come and work from Panama using labor, using Panama as their hub for the region. Next point. Yeah, well, I have this, yeah, I have make a summary here real quick. Advantage of investing in Panama. Lower tax rate. As you can see here, we thank God. I don't want to say too out loud. I hope it keeps like that way. The legal tender, I think Roberto will talk about it. Private property is protected by constitutional law. There's no way that you buy a property here and then all of a sudden you don't have it. No, it will be registered under your name, under your LLC, and until you decide to get rid of it, meaning selling it, it will be protected under your name. Well, that logistic policy, like I was saying about SEM, about the duty-free canal zone, duty-free colon zone over on the Atlantic. We have a growing, stable economy. For the last year before pandemic, we were about 8% per year. This year, so far, is 13%. We're about to close. We should be, the forecasting, we should be closing about 6.5%. For next year is forecast to be 8%. And one of the reasons is all the slides previous I show you that we want to be taking advantage. Lower cost of living. Yeah, I had to tell, it's not the cheapest one, but you have to combine a very, very low cost living. You compare it to some cities in the States, but if you compare it to, for instance, Nicaragua, yeah, you might find lower costs, but there's a key word that I was introduced to as a Mexican colleagues in Chintalo. We are so close to the United States, but the thing is security for the person, for as your well-being. That key words you will find it here in Panama. But getting back, yes, lower cost of living here in Panama, equality before the law. Everybody is equal. It's not like, oh, I'm Panamanian, I'm better than you, or no, or I'm white, you black, or you're black and white. No, it's all equal here, thank God. And foreign investor protection law. There are laws that protect your investment by all means. And guys, for all this relationship that we have had with Americans, I would say it's kind of a secure code, secure that nothing will be illegal to mainly to Americans. Here, real quick, because I think I'm running out of time. Tom.
No. Although you're fine.
I'm fine. Okay.
Before you start on this, I kind of want to just go back and loop back on a couple of things that you had touched point on. So you were talking about Tocumen and the airport and how it's the hub. I want to explain to everybody here. Basically, Tocumen Airport is like Atlanta for us, for those of you who've not traveled to Panama. So everything pretty much going in and out of Central and South America touches down in Panama City. And if you have the opportunity to get on Copa Airlines, either through Tampa or out of Orlando, it is such a different experience flying Copa than it is. I'm a huge Delta fan, but I tell you what, if I can get on a Copa airline and even in economy class, it's just like sitting in first class. There's everyone's treated so wonderfully. I love flying Copa. David, I see you pop back on. Do you agree?
Yeah,
well,
totally.
One of the
David,
things that I wanted to bring up, although I don't know if you're going to talk any about healthcare, but I know that lots of times, especially retirees, are concerned about healthcare. And there is in Panama that one of the best medical facilities really anywhere. And it is, they have like medical tourism from people that go there because it's so much less expensive than, in fact, for some people, I've heard stories, I don't know these people personally, but I've heard stories of people that went to Panama to have medical care, and the medical care plus the stay in Panama as they rehabbed was less expensive than what their deductible would have been in the United States. And it
Oh,
is,
for sure.
it is a top-notch medical facility. And Aldo, you're going to have to correct me on this, but I think it's run by Johns Hopkins, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah, it is.
So
It is.
that, I
Yeah.
know that lots of times people, especially when they're retiring, they're worried about those kinds of things. But in Panama, there is top-notch medical care available. So excuse me for busting in on that. You maybe we're going to talk about that, but I wanted to be sure that people were aware of that.
No, there's so many great things, and the cost of living, obviously, in healthcare is a huge part while people are moving to Panama or just going for medical tourism, which has become a huge business in Panama itself and lots of other countries in that region. But it's about at least when I was, my last trip there, it's about a third less than living here in Florida to live in Panama. Things like electric might be a little more expensive, but then, you're not paying a lot of other things with respect to insurance and taxes and things that we are used to paying. A lot of those aren't common practice in Panama. And Aldo, I don't know if you want to touch on those sort of things or.
I might expand just a little bit more on Aldo's statement about security. I think that is going to become a major deal in the world this year and next year, over the next few years. Right now we're having this situation like you have a war in Europe. And so people want security in terms of feeling like they're safe and they're not going to be in a war zone. Also, there's a worldwide energy crisis. And there are people who this winter in Europe and in Africa and in Asia who are going to have their electricity turned off. And in North America, North America is uniquely qualified and positioned so that we may have some of this stuff become expensive, but it's unlikely that it will not be available. And the other thing is like food. I mean, there are going to be worldwide food shortages. And again, in North America, again, food may be more expensive, but it'll be available. So that's one of the things in the North America region. I think that's really key. And I think we're going to see a lot, something like half of the population of the Ukraine are refugees right now. So Europe is also having to deal with that. And so, I think we're going to see a lot of people from all over the world looking to buy in North America, in Central America, in Latin America, and they're going to be looking for places like Panama where they feel safe, where there's healthcare, where they don't have to worry about, freezing to death in the winter or not having food. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but those are real situations for some people in the world today. So that security aspect, I think, is really, really going to be a big deal over the next few years.
Yeah, we're aiming on that security, safety of your own, your well-being. That's top priority. Look, it's not like Panama is heaven. Don't get me wrong. You're in the wrong neighborhood that you're not supposed to. I mean, you might find trouble.
No, that's anywhere in the world.
That's right. That's right. But look, Panama is. You mentioned about Copa, and the reason is. All the car, I mean, all the lady, I mean, how do you call the stewards? I don't know, how do you call the assistants? Many of us are as friendly as we like to make friends. It's like, oh, who are you? It's not Carla, it's my friend who I want to be attending you on the Copa Airlines, in the restaurant, in the beach. It's like we are open to do new friends. So here. We make sure that you feel comfortable here in Panama, either at the airplane or at the beach or wherever you come or wherever you go to here in Panama.
Yeah, no, that's very much part of the culture is that
Yeah.
the warmth and friendliness. And when you come down, they want, everyone wants to make sure you're treated like family, and you feel that immediately. I've always felt that every time I've come down there, and and I have no problem walking around the city. I've never felt, threatened or out of place. And I don't know that I would want to drive. I always laugh about stop signs are mere suggestions, but you get used to different places when you go. But otherwise, it's always been a great trip, and the people have been great. So it's much different because the environment there, and everybody is tranquilo, right? Chill. So
That's
no
right.
one gets upset about anything. You'll get there when you get there, and there's nothing to be worried about. And people aren't blowing their horns like crazy like we do here. And so it's a completely different culture.
And to add up what you say and what David said about health and Tocumen, it's worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. You go to take Tocumen, you go to Tocumen, and there is I don't know how many flights to Miami every day just in Copa. I don't know how many flights to Orlando. About I think 3 or 4 to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that is connectivity. Is you need to go back to the state for something. Find a way I mean, you will have to pay an extra ticket, but
Right.
not like there's no plane until it's like there's a plane,
Right.
there's a plane. No, there's a plane very often. So
Yes.
connectivity here is a plus. You need to go in urgent to a hospital, go to Tocumen and boom, Copa will take you, or Delta, American Airlines, United. I mean, you name it. So connectivity, that's a big time plus here. Look, in order to go to next is top trending areas in Panama City. I just want you to, if you can get the names and Google it, and if you have prospects, send it to me, and we do business. Is look, San Felipe. San Felipe is the old town area. As a matter of fact, that's where the city started, and you can see on the upper left corner, that's you see the old town, San Felipe, Casco Antiguo, and the back, the new Panama City with high rise and everything. That area right now is the most expensive area in Panama. High demand, very, very low offer because it's just 12 streets long, and about 4. It's between 12th Street and 4th Streets. It's very, very small. Give and take, it could be considered something like a Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Very unique. You'll find architecture, Spanish, French, and the French when they came here before the Americans tried to make or build the canal. That's where they were located, and that's one heck of ambience that you'll find. To have an idea, square meter, since we use square meter for an apartment there, is about 36 at 4,000 per square meter. And if I have to tell you, how's the inventory? Very short inventory. In I would say less than a mile, you'll find the cruise port I mentioned that just opened in Pacific. By saying that, all people that come to Panama to get the cruise will stay in those apartments, in those Airbnb for 2-3 days. It's gonna create this rotation of tourism every day of every week in the whole year. I mean, the whole year, because like you say, it's not like a low or high season, because we take advantage of the high season from the state, or the high season, which is not the same high season of the South South America. So we're aiming for that. That's San Felipe. Please Google it, and if you have any question, please do so. As a matter of fact, the government has created a very high incentive costs. I mean, incentive plans, tax. You don't pay tax on property for 30 years. If you want to get a mortgage, you will get a very low mortgage comparing to what's going on the mortgage rate in Panama. it will assure you 2.5 for 30 years or 35 years, depending on your age. There's so many incentives for that area, which you should study in order for presented to the prospects just as an investment. Or you guys can use it on the winter time, but during the summertime, which is the winter time in another part of the continent, there is a high demand on that particular area.
So Aldo, for someone coming in who is a foreign investor, they're looking at a 2.5% interest rate with a large bank. What's the what kind of percentage down? 30, 40% down?
That depends. It could be between 15 to 30%.
Okay.
With locals, it's about between 5 to 15%.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Americans are more flexible. If, for instance, and I don't want to mention any particular nationality, but there's some nations that will ask you for 40% down,
Right.
just to, cover their bases. But the remaining is 2.5. Fixed for the next 30 years. Oh, that's a super deal. And again, the price per square meter is the highest, but with this incentive that the government is giving, is a deal that you might consider, because again, there's a lot of demand, and
that's just in Casco Viejo.
That's just in Casco Viejo. That's just
okay. So not outside of it. So what are interest rates outside of Casco Viejo right now?
The commercial is it can go 5.25 to 6.75, about 5.75 right now.
Okay, so similar to what we were seeing here in the United States.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna show. I do believe I have some slides that is called interés preferencial. That's another incentive that the government gives to properties below $180,000. They have brackets. 120, 150, 180. And there are some properties that I wouldn't recommend to invest. It's a low cost property, 60,000. You don't pay taxes. You don't pay interest for never. Those are not properties that I would recommend because you cannot make a profit out of that. It's aiming for poor people to give some more chances for them to have their own houses.
Correct.
So I don't recommend. It would say it applies for the 110 to 180. You get that incentive for the first 5 years. Then 5 years, you can decide whatever you do, either flip it or stay there. It will go to 5.25 of the current commercial interest rate that the government, that the banks, private banks, or any banks in Panama will be using at the time.
And I think it's important for us to know that, for retirees that might be investing there, it's the standard policy for the bank to require a life insurance policy, right?
Yeah. Well,
okay, so different than we have here in the United
Roberto
States.
will talk about it. He's
excellent.
That one.
Okay.
Look, next area is called well, this slide real quick for you guys to have an idea for a property that you find for 231,000. Down payment for a foreigner will be 34,000. Monthly payment, that's what would you be paying, and that's a 35 years fixed rate. So it's family tax assets. Foreigners and retires, they don't pay taxes. But again, Roberto will talk about it. But for instance, you make an investment, you're not retired, but you want the property taxes. You can see on the left bottom corner, you pay 0.50 between 120,000 to 700,000. That's your annual tax, and 0.70 over 700,000. Ain't that bad? I can send you if you want, Carla, send it to you, and then you
excellent. Great. Actually, I have it.
Okay.
I think you did send to me. Yes.
That's right. You have it. That's right.
Yes.
Another area is called Santa Maria. That's a high end. That's Jack Nicklaus 18 holes golf course in the middle of Panama. There's a high demand. High demand people. A lot of foreigners live there. A lot of foreigners wants to live there. You see all those high rises of food. People who comes to live, people who comes to work. A lot of expats are coming. A lot of those companies I mentioned about the SEM that come and stay come to Panama to open their regional. Those are the ones who are renting and buying properties in Santa Maria. There's Santa Maria Country Club in there. And the properties there, for instance, in apartment, price range is per square meter between 2,800 to 3,300 per square meter. Correct me if I'm wrong, David or Carla. You had to get the to transfer it to feet. You multiply by 10 or divide by 10?
10. Multiply by 10.
More likely, just to have an idea.
Right.
Another area is called Costa del Este. I've been serving this area for the last 21 years. That particular area is a residential, commercial, and some business. Not some business. A lot of big companies are using that area to move. For instance, Procter & Gamble. They moved from Venezuela due to political issues, and then all of a sudden, boom! They opened their offices here. About 35,000 new people moved to Panama right away within 5 years, and they rotate those personnel every 5 years, meaning that whatever you buy here, you put it on rent. I keep telling my clients, buy to rent, buy, invest, and rent it. It will be rented very, very soon because there is a high demand for rent right now for those companies. Not just Procter & Gamble, but you have Adidas, you have Huawei, you have Samsung, you have LG, you have Copa headquarters in there, for instance.
This is a great area too, for those of you who aren't familiar with Costa del Este in Panama. When you fly into Panama City Airport, you will come, before getting to Panama City itself, you have to pass through that neighborhood, Costa del Este. It's a high-end neighborhood just outside of Panama City.
Yeah. And very well designed too. Either, I mean, this one and Santa Maria is a worldwide urban good development. Well, you got the purchase process for housing Panama based in the election property. I mean, you select the property, you get a proposal to buy, to do it. I would recommend, well, like you all know, through a realtor. I just keep telling my prospect, it's not like I just want you to do it with me, but you have to do it because we know the between, we call it between lines, that you could get confused if you don't have that. Down payment is separation delivery. We usually is you separate or you make the down payment with with a promise, contrato de promesa de compraventa. How would you say that?
It's basically your offer of intent, your letter of intent to buy the property.
Letter of intent, yeah, that's right. And the letter that the owners will intend to sell you the property. When you sign that, between 5 to 10%, no more than that, and then you make sure that to protect yourself, you have to get to the bank with a promissory note from the bank that the bank will deliver or will release the money to the seller whenever the property is under your name. So that will protect you by all means as a buyer.
Although there's a question. So
yes,
when the letter of intent is signed, we're talking at this point, the transaction is done between the attorneys, right?
Yeah, mostly I recommend use attorney. on both sides.
But I mean, the realtor isn't completing the transaction like we do here in the United States. I mean,
No, actually, well, since
there's a little bit of a difference. Explain that for everyone.
okay, you use I personally, because I can use, for instance, sometimes I use Roberto to check out the contract.
Mhm.
And for a prospect, American prospect, say, look, I want you to
I see him in the
I want you
background.
to
He appreciates
What's
that.
that?
You didn't
What's
see
that?
him. He showed himself on film just to say thank you. He did this. He's happy that you let him do that.
Yeah, I need him to double check, because maybe I might law is not my thing 100%. I'm my wife Christina, I call her the flaca. She's super, but in order to minimize margin of error, say, Roberto, check it out. He will check it out as my prospect buyer, and for sure the owners will ask his lawyer to check it out. It's not like you need to have a lawyer on it, but you need to cover all the bases, and you have to cover all the bases with lawyers, like with trust lawyers. All right. For instance, well, there's a pictures there. You see wild animals, mountains, Panama. That's old town. That's older than the old town I showed you before. That tower on the right side. What I can say, Panama is colorful. Panama is welcoming people who want to do good and to enjoy life. And factors to have in mind. Please, you can. We are post-COVID. Oh, our economy here is booming right now. Thank God, it's 25% better than 2021, 47% better than 2020. Look, we haven't achieved yet. 2019 was 60% below, but we're aiming, and we haven't finished 2022 yet. And you might say, but why is that happening? Is it happening because all people from Colombia, from Chile, from Venezuela, from Argentina are seeing Panama as next door safety zone to invest, to live. That's one of the reasons. Our GDP is about 13% right now. Like I say, we're expecting at the end of the year will be about 7-8%. Real estate and other service is about 12% of the GDP. Higher demand on property is 180,000 below because of the incentive that the government gives. Living units with smaller size, but in a good locations. That means in Panama City, there's no way you can find a 180,000 house. Tell you honest, properties, houses in Costa del Este, for instance, it'll be about 600 to 800,000, starting 600 to 700,000, because of the high demand on that in these particular areas.
Right.
Real quick, just to wrap it up, it's looking good. Service says this service says that this private financial office, according to this survey, 50% of the business in Panama expect that we're gonna do better on sales for the upcoming months. There's private business are very positive to what's happening, and we're taking advantage of it. Inflation, yeah, is hitting everybody, like you guys in the States, but I have proud to say that we're the lowest. According to the government, it's 3.5. According to my family, my household is about 5%.
Yeah.
But we're still lower than Salvador, Nicaragua, Guatemala, as you can see, and those are real, it's not fake. And reasons, we're still on demand, stable government, strong relationship with the United States ever. Location, meaning hub of the Americas, logistic. US dollars currency and security or safety of their own. And guys, that's all I can say. I think, I'm sorry, Carla, Davey, guys, if I take longer. But as you can see, I'm a big time fanatic of my country.
No, there's, I want to thank you for that. And then I'm going to introduce Roberto in a second. If you can, although while we're doing that, if you can stop sharing, I'm going to have Roberto start to put
Yes.
his presentation up as
I-
well. And then we're
I
going to get
did
into the transaction. But so we're starting to see more inventory come on the market here, Aldo. And one of the questions of one of the attendees is saying, they heard that Panama has a lot of inventory to the tune of maybe 7 years worth of inventory right now. How close to reality is that?
Look, there is a high inventory in properties, in zones, in areas, which they were building, just going with the flow without doing numbers. But tell you honest, last government, I don't want to go politically, but last government, not this one, stop promoting Panama as it was in the government past before. So we built, like they say, if you build it, they will come. We've been hoping they will come, but for some reason they stopped coming. But again, there are certain zones or brackets that are like that. That for me, that's an opportunity for
Right.
people, because look, you can negotiate price. In the area specialized, which is Santa Maria, Costa del Este, I can assure you there is no inventory.
Right.
No at all. Beaches right now, beaches, if you go to the Pacific side, there is no inventory. You will find for sure to get some offerings, some good offers, but it's not like the rule of thumb. It's exceptions. You tell me, Aldo, how about these buildings that were like I don't know how many apartments in that building? They were aiming for those foreigners to come, but due to government decision, last government decision, stop. But again, inventory means opportunity.
Absolutely.
Look, there's a high demand for renting. The power of buying, a lot of people lose power of buying. So they cannot buy, but they must rent.
Right.
So
Thank you. I appreciate that. Roberto, sir, thank you for your patience, and we're glad you're with us today. If you want to unmute, there you are.
Hi.
Hi. So let me
Yeah.
read your official bio, if I may. If you want to start booting up your PowerPoint while I do that, that would be great.
Okay. ¿Cómo se llama?
Roberto Gardia is an attorney at law. He is the CEO of his firm Gardia & Gardia since 2005. They specialize in corporate, migration, financial, tax, and real estate. Besides getting his degree in Panama, he has attended a full program of international law and management at the School of Management at Yale. So we are very happy to have you with us, Roberto. And I know some of the questions are going to be, to walk us through a transaction, kind of like who holds escrow, who's doing the title search, that sort of thing. So I know at some point during the presentation, you'll probably cover that.
Hi, hello everybody. Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not prepared to talk about escrow, real estate, and all those matters. Of course, I
Okay.
can answer all the questions because my presentation is really about immigration programs.
Correct.
But now that you bring this to the table, I see that one of the questions in the previous question was related to that, is the lawyer do the title search in Panama? The answer is yes, because we follow a Roman kind of law that established that all the property transactions are registered in a public office called Registro Público. So to give an example, insurance company like Stuart Title tried to come to Panama and set up an office, and they simply move out because in Panama you don't need insurance title because all the titles are registered in an office. So it's no way for you to miss the situation about the registration of the property that you're going to buy. And normally lawyers are the ones who take care of that. My recommendation on that part is that don't sign anything until you establish a link with a lawyer. In my experience, sometimes people come to my office after they already signed, and this is not a good idea. Normally, as Aldo bring that briefly, in Panama, we normally sign a contract, a promissory contract that you establish with the promoter or the owner of the property, that you establish a commitment to buy, and he established the commitment to sell. In that contract is where you put all the rules. How much is the down payment? How much is gonna be the second payment? How everything is established in that contract. You should not sign that contract until you check with a lawyer. After you sign that contract, the next step is a deed. First, you sign this contract, then we have a deed, a public deed at the notary. I think one of the questions was also related to a notary. Yes.
Yes.
Official deed. You sign first a contract, but the title have to be in a notary document that is the one that you take to the public registry. And after that, the title, when the title is officially registered into your name, this is when the deal is finished. A lawyer, your lawyer should take care of all the process in your name. So, of course, I can help with immigration, but I can help on real estate too.
Yeah, and then I asked you to present on, the different options of moving to Panama if someone wanted some sort of residency. But just one quick question before we move into this, because I think it's important. Back to title, there are 3 areas of title, or at least there used to be, and I know Bocas del Toro had a lot of title issues by the way things were titled, and I understand a lot of that has gotten cleaned up over the last 10 years or so.
That's
Do you
a
want to
good
touch
point,
on that real
Carla.
briefly?
Yes, okay, this is what we call possessory rights. And this is not, how can we say this? This kind of properties on possessory rights are not registered on the public registry because these are pieces of lands that cannot be titled, or the title process can take years.
Mhm.
People from the UK are very used to this because in the UK, the land belongs to the Queen. Well, the Queen rests in peace. Now the land belongs to the King. And you own the house that you build on a property, on a piece of land, but you really own the house, not the land. So it's something similar that we have here in Panama that we call possessory rights. You have the possessory rights over the house that you build. You own the house and you have possessory rights on the land, but this is not title. Definitely in these cases, you need twice the lawyer.
Yeah.
And
My
my
suggestion was
recommendation-
always like,
yes,
don't
it's-
even bother
that-
move
that-
on.
that's-
Anytime you
that's-
get into right
that's
of
a very
possession,
special scenario, to tell you
Yeah.
the truth.
it can be very expensive. And there's a question is it the same as a leasehold? And it's not really. I mean,
No, not really.
right. Okay. All right. I will let you go into your
Okay.
presentation now, Roberto. Thank you so much.
Okay, no, anytime. Okay, Aldo talk about advantage of living in Panama. Yes, this is just a complementary information. Well, definitely, not because we're Panamanians, but I think that Panama has a lot to offer. And this is why a lot of expats from the States and Canada are moving to Panama over the last years to live in Panama, or also to spend a long part of the year or part of the year in Panama. One of the advantages that you have once you have Panamanian residency is that you can be a Panamanian resident and you don't have to live a special number of months in Panama. You can be a Panamanian resident and you don't have to live in Panama. So you can come in some countries when you apply for residency or you get residency, you have to spend minimum 3 months or 6 months a year. It's not the case in Panama. You can be a resident of Panama and stay the time that you want. The only requirement is come at least a week every 2 years. So that's the minimum that you have to come once you get a Panamanian residency established. And okay, in order to apply for any Panamanian residency program, we have more than 25 or 27 programs. I will just going to, in this presentation, the most frequent and the most easy ones also. You have to come to Panama with a passport, at least 6 months of validity, criminal record. In the case of American, is the FBI fingerprint. And when you have dependents or you want to come with family, you need to bring marriage certificate in order to demonstrate the link of the couple, and birth certificate in order to demonstrate the link of the kids with the petitioner. The documents, all the documents that you are going to bring to Panama have to be legalized in a Panamanian consulate or in apostille. Apostille is one way to legalize document. This is an example of the stamp of the apostille. In the United States, is a possibility, is a stamp that you get. Normally notaries or lawyers or can help you on that. In every city, every state is an apostille office. So not necessarily you have to go to the Panamanian consulate. That's one way, but the apostille is very easy. It's way more easy than going to the consulate. In the case of Canadians doesn't have the apostille as an alternative. They have to go to a Panamanian consulate. But people in the States can do the apostille, and this is the example.
Question for you. There was a question on the slide previous. What's a certificate of unmarried status over 18 and under 25?
This is for kids. If you want to have your kid as a dependent and your kids is on this age between 18 and 25, in order to be part of the family as a dependent, he have to be in a university and he have to demonstrate that he's not married. As long as he's married, he cannot be part of the family group.
Thank you.
That's was part in the presentation. Okay, so this is the sample of the stamp of the Panamanian consulate. Sometimes people get confused. That happen a lot with the clients that thinks that, oh, I have to do the apostille in the Panamanian consulate. No. Or I have to do, sometimes people use that wording. No, apostille is one thing, Panamanian consulate legalization is another way. There are different ways to legalize documents. Either way works for us. I just bring the difference of the two process. And when, okay, in every program, every immigration program, this is similar for everybody. First of all, you have to register. Everybody comes to Panama as a tourist. So in only one program that we call qualifying investor, that's maybe, I think that's part of my presentation. All the other programs, you come to Panama as a tourist. And once you're here in Panama, you change your status of a tourist, because going to the registration office and register yourself as an individual with the interest to apply for an immigration program. So the first step is the registration of yourself in the immigration office. Then we put together the documents that we are going to submit in your name, and we submit the application. But first you have to register. In order to come to Panama, I think this is this slide should be first. In order to come to Panama, you need to come with your passport, and in some kind of countries they need visa. No, it's not the case for the United States. A Panamanian passport with permanent? No. That's a very common question. The only way to obtain Panamanian passport is after you get the resident, despite the program, 5 years after you're a resident, you can apply for citizenship. And this is the moment when you became Panamanian. Sometimes people love to say, no, I'm Panamanian. When they have the residency card, they say, no, I'm Panamanian. No, so you're a Panamanian resident. I am happy that you feel Panamanian, but you're not Panamanian yet. You're a Panamanian resident. If you want to become Panamanian, you have to apply for citizenship. That's another story. Okay. These are the programs that in my opinion are the easiest one, and the ones that people probably in this group can be interested. Qualifying investor is the one that I mentioned. Pensioned tourist is the name of the retirement visa. As a matter of fact, that name is no longer, now we call it retirement. Friendly nations visa is United States is part of that program. And also we have reforestation programs. If you invest in reforestation, you have the right to be a Panamanian resident. The Friendly Nations Visa is a program that for a few countries that are in the list, you receive, you have the process, the immigration process take 3 years. You became a resident as long as you receive your first ID. Then you receive a 2 years ID, and then you receive your permanent ID. At the end, between the 6 months first, the 2 years ID and the permanent, we're talking about 3 years of the process, but you are considered a resident since the first 6 months ID. you can apply to this program if you're hired by an entity in Panama. Also, if you buy real estate with a value of $200,000, it doesn't matter if you can get mortgages. This is an advantage over other programs. And also, if you establish a CD, is not here in this part, you can do a time deposit CD for $200,000. That also qualify as for this program. Also, now we have the tourist residency program, the pension tourist. This is for retired people. The advantage of this program over the other one is that in this program, you became a full-time resident in 1 year. You don't have the 3-year period generated by the 2-year residency ID. On this one, you receive the 6 months ID, and then after the 6 months, you receive the permanent residency card. The pension have to be for minimum of $1,000 a month and have to be a permanent pension. The pension have to be generated by Social Security also, but if you generate your pension on a private entity like Prudential, whatever, Charles Schwab, as long as we demonstrate that this is a company that do that and exists, that is can be used also as part of the program to demonstrate that you are a retired person. This program also have a lot of benefits that other program doesn't have, because in Panama we have laws in favor of retirement people. The retirement people have the right to discounts, and this apply to everybody to come to Panama as a retirement person. So, and this is part of the advantage that we have, or the discounts that Panama offer to all the retirements.
It's better than us having AARP cards here, just saying.
Yes. Also, is the only program that establishes tax exemption for imports of goods. For example, if you want to come with goods for your house, immobiliaries, whatever, all those, when you move to Panama, if you like to include part of your assets, this kind of assets, and bring it to Panama, you can have discounts on the tax rate. And also the retirement people can bring cards with tax exception every 2 years. Sometimes cars are not that expensive in Panama, and perhaps it's easy to just buy a local car instead of bring cars from the States. But sometimes, you know, people that like some special cars that you have in Panama or whatever, and you like to bring that car from the States, you have a tax exemption that other resident applications do not have.
The problem is getting parts and the maintenance. That's why it's better to buy the car in Panama.
Yes. Okay, the qualifying investor is the only visa, is the only program that you come to Panama with your visa approved. Let's put it this way. It's a new law established by this government, and you submit the application and immediately you became a resident. So you don't receive even the 6 months ID card. In the first, when we talk about the Friendly Nations visa, we talk about you receive first a 6 months ID, then a 2 years ID, and then the permanent ID. Then on the retirement, we established that you receive a 6 months ID and then the permanent ID. On this one, you receive the permanent ID. Boom. And you got it when you come to Panama because you submit your application before coming to Panama. Of course, this is for qualified investors. And one of the alternatives is buy real estate. If you buy real estate for $300,000 until October, you can qualify for this one. So you can contact Aldo right away and buy a property over $300,000, and you can be a qualified investor after October. The investor have to be $500,000.
Roberto, a couple of these, the friendly nations and this one, are any of those changes a result due to the pandemic and the amount of people that were moving around the world, traveling and wanting to stay in countries for an extended period of time?
Well, the friendly nations visa used to be better. I don't know. Well, we changed. The friendly nations visa used to be like the retirement visa that you receive your ID in 1 year. So 6 months and the permanent. Then
Yeah, it was a quick way to get a passport, a secondary passport,
quick way to get a residency.
right?
And then get citizenship and then get a passport. Okay, maybe to avoid confusions, Panama do not have, like other jurisdiction, these programs that offer you citizenship and passport right away. That's very common on the Caribbean. And in the Middle East, some countries or the South Pacific, some island on the Polynesia, stuff like that, they offer these programs that you get passport. We don't have that in Panama. In order to get Panamanian passport, you need to have residency first and then apply for citizenship. Okay, option in the real estate, option number 1. Also in securities in the Panama Stock Exchange, that's one way to qualify as a Panamanian, as a qualified investor and get a resident in Panama. And also a time deposit of certified $750,000. That's the 3 ways, of course, qualified investor. If you do any of this, you will be a Panamanian resident right away. Something very attractive to Russians, for example, at this particular moment, that they don't have ways to, they don't have a passport, they cannot collect new passports because everything is closed in their consulate. Russians are having a tough time right now, as you already know. The cost for this particular visa is a little bit high in comparison with the other ones. In the other visas, these checks, these payments that have to be to immigration are $1,000. In this visa is $10,000. The fees for immigration. We're not talking about legal fees. That's another matter. I'm talking about cost for the Panamanian government. Okay, the reforestation investor visa is basically is cheap from the standpoint of the investment. In the friendly nations visa, as we notice, is $200,000 in real estate or long-term deposit. On this one, the investment can be of $80,000 up to $100,000, so it's less. The program also established that 6 months, 2 years, and then the permanent. So at the end, the real McCoy, to tell you the truth, is the retirement visa, no? Why invest in reforestation? This is a lot of tips. As a matter of fact, it's a very nice kind of business because, you know, save the planet. Everybody's talking about this worldwide. And Panama, this is, as a matter of fact, is an old way to bring residents to Panama, taking advantage of this kind of investment. Before the Friendly Nations visa program, this was really common. Then when Panama established the Friendly Nations visa program that do not demand the $200,000 investment, this program became like a non-factor. But now that the Friendly Nations visa program requires $200,000 in investment, this program became, you know, so an alternative, no? Okay, this is some information about what you can bring or you cannot bring. This is just for your knowledge. I include this in presentations now because it became a quite surprise for me that a lot of people like to move to other countries with their pets, and that's another process, and that's something that I like to teach and to people know that in order to, if you are going to bring your pet, your lawyer needs to know, because we need to do a special legal work for your pet in order to come to Panama. And I also realized that people don't always love the traditional pets, like the ones that we are normally used, because now we also have exotic pets like snakes or some kind of birds. So I include that as a part of my presentation. If somebody of the audience like this presentation, of course, you can share or I can send it for more details, no?
Thank you.
Well, that's it.
No, that was good about the pets. So how long of a process, if someone contacted you tomorrow and said, I was interested in the one of these visas, the paperwork, you know, typically we know with any government in the United States, let alone any other country, can take a long time. And so what's the start to finish process timeframe?
Well, let's say the retirement visa program, that is the only one that do not demand a previous investment, is quite easy. That's why this is a real McCoy, because you only need to come to Panama with the documents. If you contact me or somebody contact me, I will give the list of documents. Is as I mentioned, the police FBI fingerprint, the letter of the Social Security that certify that he's having a pension. If you come with family or wife, normally retirement people normally come just with wife, marriage certificate. You just come with these documents, and we go to immigration and you come, we coordinate your trip, you come with the documents, we verify by email if the documents are okay. You come, and during, let's say in a week, you have your 6 months ID. You come to Panama, you come to the office, we help you in the paperwork to sign the power of attorney. We take care of the registration at immigration. We do everything. We will go and send somebody to go online for you and take a number for you to go and take your picture. But in a week, a little bit more or less, you get your 6 months ID. And before the expiration of that 6 months ID, you will get your permanent ID card, permanent residency card. On the other programs that you see, let's say reforestation or quality investor or friendly nations, you have to make your investment first. you have to buy real estate or establish your long-term deposit or invest on reforestation. And once you have that, then we will coordinate the documents that you have to bring. Everybody has to come with the documents, with proper documents. I'm gonna be the same, FBI fingerprints, marriage certificate, all that jazz. But a difference of the retirement one, in the other ones, you have to complete your investment in order to start thinking about the immigration documents.
Okay, so there was a question about the marriage documents. This is from previous, when you were at the very first slide. So this goes back to that child who's 18 to 25. The question was, how do they prove that they are not
That's a very good question, and as a matter of fact, this doesn't happen very frequently, but normally you go to depending on the state, in some, because you know the United States of America is a huge country with 50 small countries, because each states have their own laws. In some states, you can have an office that they can certify that you're not married, but you don't have that in all the states. Sometimes you can go to a notary and establish or your kid, or go to the notary and say that he swears that he's not married. It's some kind of document. Also, in desperate measures, we do that here in Panama too. We take your kid to the notary, and he swears that he's not married. What can I tell you? Bureaucrats are the ones who establish the documents that they like to check. And normally, and because this is when you like to establish a family reunion, no? That you like to establish that normally who are the dependents that immigration office do not pay much attention? Husband or wife, or kids below 18. That's the typical dependent. Now, kids between 18 and 25 can be dependent. After 25, your kid cannot be dependent. After 25, your kid, that is not a kid anymore, have to make his own application. But if you want to establish that kids between 18 and 25 as part of the dependent of the family group, the kids, number one, you need to demonstrate that they are in a college institution or a university. They have to be studied. They cannot be your dependents because they are not 20. No, they can be your dependent, but they have to do something with their life, at least studying. And cannot be married, because I don't know. What I hear is the reason, because sometimes the kid is married, and now they want to put, he's a dependent, but he wants to bring his wife that is from Colombia or from China, and some kind of document that have to, and you know, in sometimes for some reason or some situation living in the past, bureaucrats establish these requirements. But what I like to say is basically this is very specific. You have to be, your interest has to be to bring kids between 18 and 25. And if that's the case of whoever that is making the questions, of course, you have to understand that the kids have to be studying and cannot be married. And how can we demonstrate that? With documents. And if it becomes difficult to get those documents in the States, we can find ways to generate the document in Panama. But this is really case by case, you know.
Right. There's another question for you, Roberto. If you're retired and your income is less than $1,000 a month, do you have to buy real estate property in Panama in order to get the visa?
Yeah, definitely. If your pension is not more than $1,000, your application cannot be done as a retirement program. You have to go through one of the other programs. Yes, unfortunately.
And then can an unmarried couple buy property together?
You can okay. You can buy property together, but in order to apply for the Friendly Nations visa investment, that is $200,000, you have to buy a $400,000 property.
Okay.
Because the investment of 2,100 is for an individual.
Mhm.
And if you're legally married, of course, then you can be dependent. But if you're not legally married, you have to buy an expensive property or $400,000 or get married.
Okay, so that proposes another question, because I know a lot of our LGBTQ friends.
No, that
who
can
are
be
living
something
in-
quite
in
interesting. So
Panama
you
that are
prepare to pay
legally
more
married
money
in the
instead
United
of marry
States.
me.
So if you're legally married in the United States, but you're coming to Panama, is that recognized in Panama?
Pardon me?
Same-sex couple.
Not yet.
Okay.
We have a case pending to be solved in the Supreme Court about that. The story a little bit is that we have a Panamanian guy that was married in the UK, and he comes to Panama in order to register that marriage in the civil registry. That is when you register marriages. And he tried to register his marriage in the UK with same-sex marriage, and the public registry denied the registration, and the resolution that denied that registration was subject of. So that is the case that is in the Supreme Court, and basically at the end, this is one is gonna be determinant if same-sex couples marriage can be registered in Panama. After that decision is made, then we will see, of course, if all those processes can be applied. I have a client that in that situation, and in that particular case, they have to buy the real estate property for $400,000.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Unfortunately for Aldo, they were not Aldo's clients, so Aldo cannot get that commission.
Right. You brought up something though that is a huge difference for those of us in the United States when you're coming to purchase property and lifestyle, I guess, and opening accounts, right? You had mentioned something about paying someone to stand in line for you. And that's very common practice when you need to do a lot of things, like, because everything isn't automated like it is here in the United States. We can pick up the phone, we can to open an electric account, we can, do things online, but in Panama, you can't do that, right? Roberto, although you want to touch on that a little bit, and has
Okay,
that system gotten any better at all?
That's a very interesting topic. Definitely open a bank account is not easy in Panama.
Right.
But for my surprise, in my office the other day, one of my secretary, in a very sharp way and some bank promotion, she set up bank accounts for my kids, and I was quite surprised how fast that. Okay, we're all Panamanians, no, but for a foreigner coming to Panama to set up a bank account, definitely used to be more easy, but.
Oh wait, used to be more easy.
Before the so-called Panama papers,
okay,
things were not the way that is now. But I have to tell everybody that once you if you tell the bank that the purpose of this bank account is that you are going to apply for a Panamanian residency program, definitely that generates a way more smoothly situation from the bank standpoint, because it's like makes sense. No, okay, you like to come to Panama, you definitely gonna need a bank account. You're gonna be in an immigration program with this lawyer. Of course, I will help on this process, but all when you are going to apply, definitely you can. It's way more easy to open the bank account if you just want to do the typical offshore kind of accounts that we used to do. And now all that became way more difficult for sure.
Thank you. And I just know, you know, opening any sort of utility accounts is very challenging in Panama. They always, you have to pay someone to stand in line for you. And then that person, once they get like 10 minutes from the person that's going to check you in, calls you and says, okay, come on down now. You know, it's your turn. We're ready. Because it may not be that day. It might be the next day. So this is just something that's
It's
a
a lot
lot
of stories now.
It's gotten better.
Okay, depend on the bank also. And of course, I have to tell you that I work with a few banks. I have a few relations with banks already that Aldo likes to talk. And I can help and take you to the bank with an appointment to you sign the stuff. So, you know, my office can help a lot.
That's good. We appreciate that. All right.
Carla,
Yes.
Carla, do we have time? Let me see if there's any burning questions here in the room. Does anyone have a specific question they would like to ask?
That would be great. And we have to find a way to get contact information from our two panelists over to everyone. Denise, is the chat enabled now where both Aldo and Roberto can put their contact information in the chat?
You have my email.
Yes.
Send my email. Anybody in the audience that can email me, and I feel I will be very a pleasure for me to help you, to help anybody.
Okay, Aldo and Roberto, you can both put your contact information, emails right in the chat box. They've enabled that for everyone to see right now.
And Carla,
Okay.
we have some requests for copies of the slides. Perhaps if you could get a copy of everything to Denise, she can just send it to everyone who attended
Sure,
today.
I have Aldo's.
Give me the
Roberto, I'll
contact.
just need you to send yours to me. If you can, well, actually, you can email it directly to Denise. That would be great.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have, first of all, anything else we want to cover right now, Carla? We have a sponsor for this afternoon that we're trying to give a couple of minutes before we close
No,
out.
let them jump on and I will have our guest. So let me just say thank you. Muchas gracias por todos. We are so happy that you were with us today. For everyone
good
online
Spanish.
and for everyone at the association, we hope you enjoyed this presentation. It was a little fast and furious, but we hope we gave you the flavor of Panama and the desire to at least get on a Copa airline and go down and visit our friends.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I'm just
Thank
going to
you,
hand over to
gentlemen.
Jamie for 2 minutes.
Hi, we also wanted to thank Carla, Roberto, David, and Aldo for your time and your wealth of information that you shared with us today. And we'd like to also welcome up our afternoon sponsor, Robin from Magnolia Title.
Hey, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for letting us talk about our
Bye.
fanatic country. And I hope to see you all soon in Orlando, right?
Thank you for coming. I hope everybody enjoyed today. That was very interesting.
Sure I did. Sure we did.
Robin,
Bye-bye now. Ciao.
Magnolia- Magnolia Title. We're located downtown Sarasota on right across the street from Chase Bank. And then we're having another office we're opening up on 64. So I'm not going to keep you long because I know you've all been sitting here for a while and I know I get antsy, but thank you for coming.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.